Okay. Hello, it's Katie Anikiri, or Alchemist, Soul Alignment Guide, Oracle, Self-Mastery Teacher, Alien. Okay, no. We are going to talk about a post I made today, and I want to dig in deeper into it, which is this post about this. Whose fault is it more? Whose accountability more? Who's going to be lonelier? Who's wounded more? Who's messed up? There's pee in the dating pool. It's their fault. And right now, it's being dressed up really well. People have gotten really good at dressing up their complaints and wounds as wisdom and smart social media rhetoric and wise dating tools and tactics and just the truth in their yeah buts, all to avoid the real work that's required to disconnect from these things and the work that is actually going to make you happy, because all of this advice and all of this pointing fingers at everybody else isn't making people happier. And I'm going to talk about some of the science of that, and I'm going to go into a post that I made today, and we're going to go deeper into that, and we're going to talk about some stuff that I see, because y'all know I stay on my business unless Spirit has me going somewhere else, because there's a business I'm supposed to be minding there. And one of the biggest, saddest things I see is that the most popular guides out there are teaching manipulation and lies as tactics because, you need to be realistic. And, one of the biggest things I see, which one of the most recent, I think, well, men aren't afraid to hurt your feelings, so you should hurt theirs. And, everything is feminism's fault, and everything is social media's fault, and everything is that person who, rejected you when you were 12's fault, and la 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 la. We're going to get into all of that. So everything is social media's. Tag your friends. I'm going to tag people who have asked me to always tag them really quick, and we're going to get into it. Okay? Because all of this stuff is distracting you from the real work. And the real work is not to get in and participate in these collective consciousness conversations. And collective consciousness is different than unity consciousness. And actually, and we'll talk about that today too, there's also a difference between telepathic viruses being passed through social media that is now circulating in collective consciousness. There is even a difference between that and the collective. So the collective is sick with a lot of telepathic viruses, and we've gotten really good at using really smart spiritual language to sound like we're being wise and realistic. But when you follow the route back to 99.9% of dating advice, it's not pointing you back to the nature of reality. It's not pointing you back to any type of self-mastery. It's not pointing you back to any type of belief work. And it's not making people happier. It's just not. If you're here to say good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, let me talk to a couple people. I'm sorry that I can't remember everybody that wants to be tagged. I do my best. If you're here on the replay, watch the replay. If you're here now, support me by just saying hello. It's helpful. It's appreciated. Okay. So the biggest thing let's get into them. I am not picking on men or women here. I'm coming for all y'all. I'm just going to start picking through some things that I've been seeing. But let's start with character. Then I'll talk with the idea that men are expected to produce and sacrifice, and they're only good for what they can be used for. And then we'll go into the woman side of that. So I want to talk with character because when you are mastering yourself, and when you become really good at vetting for character, you no longer need protocols and rules and blueprints and tactics disguised as flirting and game. When you become good at trusting yourself and vetting character and observing and being aware of what good character looks like and character that you want looks like, blueprints and protocols and checklists and standards and boundaries and rules and rule books and who takes you where and the dates and the whatever ceases meaning anything and become less and less necessary. The more you need blueprints and tactics and games and protocols and rules and boundaries and standards, the less likely it is that you trust yourself and that you are surrounding yourself with people based on their character, or that you are assessing based off character versus performative actions. So you are attracting performers because you are setting up boundaries, protocols, and rules that require people to perform a particular way to get access to you versus being a particular person to be with you. What sounds better? Hello, hello, hello. All right, we've got Ghana in the house. I see a lot, and I always like to say Spirit loves telling on y'all, because a lot of y'all women in my comments, and y'all love rah-rah-rahing with all of the good, all of my posts about soul work and responsibility and your inner world equaling your outer world, but I see you guys rah-rahing and hey-haying and yes-yesing on these big followers that are teaching you how to manipulate people and calling it being realistic and calling it game. Do you want to create a lifetime partnership by manipulating somebody into doing what you want? And yes, manipulation isn't automatically bad. Do you want to have to trick somebody into treating you the way that you desire to be treated? Do you want to have to play mind games to get somebody to recognize that you have any value or are worth hanging out with, or you're worth hanging in the presence of? Is that really what you want? One of the biggest, most, I think, insidious things that I see is, and I see this a lot, don't tell people how past partners treated you. Don't tell people about your pain. You need to understand that your subconscious is picking up signals, even when you agree with some of these things. You can't compartmentalize those words from the frequency, from the intention, from the energy of around it, and from the way your subconscious starts to learn based on those things. Because if you've decided that you cannot be honest about a potential partner, about what you have been through, for fear that it will be used against you, what type of person will use those things against you? And what type of person are you if you will allow those things that happened in the past to be used against you? And stay with somebody who would treat you the way the past partner that apparently treated you in a way that you did not desire treats you. I made a post a few weeks ago making an honest observation about, I'm trying to load this so I can see comments and the post. All of a sudden as soon as I decided to go live, my Wi-Fi started acting up. Hey David, some of you guys haven't seen you in a minute. Yeah, I see it all the time. It doesn't even take me a long time. I don't have to tune into other coaches a long time at all before I hear them to tell somebody to lie. Waiting until a manipulative amount of time, waiting until somebody's attached to you. And again, people have used how to learn really smart language. Wait until you're safe. Wait until they've proven they're a safe space. Because, so what does that mean? If they're not a safe space, they'll use your vulnerability against you, or they'll see your vulnerability as damage. Nobody has to tell you that for that to be what you are learning. Nobody has to tell you those words for that to be what you are picking up in your subconscious and what you are believing when you pick up those words as truth and use them as tools to connect to somebody that you supposedly want a lifetime partnership with. And let's be real. Please stop playing games. Play games with somebody else. Play games with yourself, I guess. Don't play games with me. You want a lifetime partner. You're going with the flow because you don't believe that you can get a lifetime partner tomorrow. You're going with the flow because you don't believe that you can have them tomorrow and they're not close by and you're not ready and they're not nearby and you're not in the right circumstances and you can't wait that long and it's going to take that long. So you're going with the flow, which is already you settling, when what you really want, what you really, really want is your lifetime partner. If you're going with the flow and you're having some sort of good interactions with some sort of good men and women and some sort of good sex and you've got some sort of good companionship, which is, sort of self-soothing right now on your way to where you're going. But what you really want is not to be alone. And you don't want to keep wondering how long it is until you're alone again. And you want to keep playing temporary games. Because when you're perpetually dating, it's like being a perpetual child. You're a perpetual toddler. You're perpetually telling your own story over and over and over again. Serial projection. Serial perpetual surface level mirror work that never really gets any deeper and doesn't really equal any serious character development and doesn't really shatter anything meaningful enough to become the unshatterable God self that really walking a deep committed pathway with somebody in containment can do for you. So why are you still picking up a lot of game? Another thing that we're seeing a lot is sex being almost deified, also by people with good intentions, using sex as if it's the most sacred, direct way to communicate your innermost longings. And we like sex. I'm all about sexual expression. I believe I like it. If you like it, I like it for you, all of that jazz. I got no judgment for any game that you want to do. I've just observed that when I get in somebody's heart, brain, consciousness, and in conversation, that's not actually what they really want to do. Not really. They got some good things out of it in the meantime, but it's not actually what they really want to do. I love sex that's good to you and good for you and takes you where you want to go. I love it when women align what gets them wet with what's good to them and for them in the direction of purpose in a way that not just preserves but enforces self-respect, because when you have sex with men you don't respect, you internalize it as self-respect, lack of self-respect. And that erodes on your self-esteem and erodes on your self-trust. You cannot compartmentalize that. There's no exceptions to that. A woman cannot be penetrated by that which she does not respect and maintain her self-respect in the process. We cannot compartmentalize. Neither can men, by the way. Men are not magical compartment boxes, while women are not. So, both sides seem to feel used. If you are living under God or Source, and if you were training yourself to live under the truth of this reality as vibrational, and you as the creator, with everything around you being informed by you, if you sat down today and prayed to God first and said, what are the conversations I'm supposed to be having today? What type of conversations do you think you'd be having about the opposite sex and with the opposite sex? what would change about the way that you're thinking about the opposite sex and engaging with the opposite sex? If you were tapping in to your innermost longing and the highest version of yourself and the highest version of those around you for the highest good, in service to love, legacy, connection, freedom, play, truth, authenticity, safety, trust, vulnerability for all parties involved. How would that change what you were talking about? Who you're talking about, how you're talking about them, who you're talking to. How would that change? If you keep insisting on going into the gutter and then trying to turn a shit turd into a diamond instead of just going diamond hunting, aren't you tired of mining through shit turds, hoping to figure out how to... I mean, all this advice is really literally telling you to go into a fucking goddamn shit yard and turn a shit turd into a diamond. And I just feel like if you're going to spend all that energy and time, I would rather spend that time on mastery. And I would rather spend that time on love. And I would rather spend that time on faith. And I would rather spend that time on hope. And I would rather that time seeking for the rarest of jewels. If I had a chance to find the rarest of jewels, I would rather spend a lifetime on that than raking through shit turds, hoping I can manipulate one into becoming a diamond. So, both sides feel used. Okay. Let me pull something up I said recently, and then we'll dig in. We'll dig in some more. I said, while I'm a human with human opinions, I live steadily and in integrity under the hierarchy of God as creator, universal law by the creator, God consciousness, soul consciousness, collective consciousness, and then the human experience. So, when we try to create and understand with the human experience on top, which is what most people are doing because most of society is teaching you how to create inverted. Meaning when you look at the 3D world is trying to teach you from the 3D up. When actually creation is happening from the 5D down. Things are happening first at God creator level, then through universal law, and then the phases of awareness in hierarchy, in order. Hierarchy exists whether you like it or not, because hierarchy has nothing to do with patriarchy or power of the class system. It is order. It is one thing serving the other, and it exists in nature everywhere. Go cry to your mama. God is creator, universal law, God consciousness, soul consciousness, collective consciousness, the human experience, in that order. So the human experience is happening under collective consciousness, is happening under soul consciousness, is happening under God or unity consciousness, all happening within the framework of universal law, which is created by the Creator. That's how we operate. That's how I operate. That's what I teach. That's how I teach you to look at the world and understand the world, because that's the truth of the world. And by all means, take your model of the world and the universe and take whatever bones and leave the rest. But you got to understand how we teach to really get the gold and understand where we're trying to take you here. All of the time, by the way. I'm always trying to take you here. However, I have noticed, because of the things that people tag me in and want me to talk about, that you're not quite understanding that no matter what we're talking about, we are always talking from the lens of the metaphysical, because I am a metaphysician. So nothing trumps my universal power to create trumps any statistic and any data point. It's not relevant to me as the creator. I'm not a common person. I don't have common beliefs. I don't have a common relationship with God. I don't have a common relationship with my purpose. I don't have a common relationship with accountability. I don't have a common relationship with my privileges. The point of self-mastery is so that you have the power to create conditions and circumstances to experience your life through with purpose. It's not to achieve things. It's to achieve into the experience that you want to have. It's to be able to step into the experience you want to have with people that you want to have that experience with. That's what self-mastery for. That's what manifestation is for. That's what it's supposed to be for. You can have things along the way. There's nothing wrong with creating things, but the only reason that you want things is because you think it's going to give you the experience and the feeling that you think it's going to give you. So you're still trying to get the thing in order to have the experience that you want. So in the end, everything that you're doing is so that you can have the experience you desire to have. And that is literally what this life is. It's an experience. Your life is a constant experience. And you are constantly either having experiences you desire to have or experiences you don't desire to have. That's the truth. So the problem with picking up all these manipulative tactics, and the people are using you, by the way, consuming that all day, every day, your subconscious is constantly scanning and learning about humans. And the survival brain, which most of you are in, our limited brain, our ego brain, and our survival brain, worst case scenario thinking is actually created by the survival brain, because the survival wants to be prepared. Just like when you're walking, and just like if you're an active person, your body chooses to prioritize spending energy to preserve muscle so that you can fight a lion if necessary. This is why even just walking, even if you're not lifting weights, for example, in your body will work to preserve muscle. Because you're being active, and your body wants to be prepared for any situation and to maneuver in any situation and to respond to any situation. So it says, okay, this person's on the move. We're going to spend energy maintaining and preserving strength to respond to any given scenario. Our brain does that in our imagination. It thinks through and wants to think through worst case scenarios. So when you can't get a worst case scenario and you're confusing that for thoughts and beliefs, yes, thoughts and beliefs are revealed in there, but if that's habitually happening, you are physiologically stuck in a fight, flight, survival brain, and you're almost addicted to worst case scenarioing things out before you can release. That's a sign that you are habitually in fight or flight, habitually in a very sympathetic, stimulated, acutely stressful, chronically stressful state. So when my physiology is in that state, my brain is going to just be a constant catastrophe machine. Okay? Our brain is always trying to learn about humans through subtext. So this is the human experience part. So we can be spiritual, we can do the soul work, and that matters. We just talked about that, right? But we need to understand the science. I said at the beginning of this that we were going to start understanding the science of what's going on here too. Because there's a spiritual consequence to engaging with these conversations. And there's a physiological consequence to engaging in these types of conversations all the time. So even with a joke, as you hypnotize yourself with every scroll and every flick, and spend your dopamine, which is your motivation and drive towards purpose, you don't have enough energy towards purpose because you're spending your dopamine on flicking your wrist through scenarios and conversations and telepathic static that your subconscious is picking up and learning about humanity through. So no, you can't pick up a shit turd like a made-up celebrity scenario or some of these garbage viral couples. They might not be garbage, but whatever they represent is, and that's that. To me, you can't turn that into a diamond turd. You can't suddenly force that shit turd that has nothing to offer you into a diamond and call it intelligent soul work or whatever the fuck it is you're trying to learn / pretending to teach. Because your brain is constantly learning about humanity through subtext. And we are seeing the response, we're seeing the result of this in real time. And it's not only because of indoctrination, psychological warfare, legacy media, all these other things. It's literally because you are not supposed to be consuming 8 billion opinions all of the time, in and all over everything, unvetted, undeterred. Even people who are calling themselves leaders are generating, literally projecting signals out into the world while they are in a physiological state of fear and distortion and triggers, and calling themselves leaders and stepping out into the world and spitting it into the digital field. Right when that's exactly when we're called to do our alchemy work. Exactly when we're supposed to be modeling people where the truth of themselves is. But day to day, you are subconsciously learning about human behavior and trying to act accordingly. You're not learning and doing nothing with it. You're learning to do it, and now your body is scanning for it so that it can learn how to protect itself against it. So what do you think that you're teaching your subconscious about humankind? What type of armoring do you think is happening on a subconscious level when you're consuming all of this garbage that's warning you, that's teaching you how to armor with self-protection, protocols, rules, checklists, boundaries, standards, and manipulation tactics that, don't worry, can be used for good on the right people in a realistic world to get somebody hooked on you through manipulation, not lies. All to control how they treat you. Because apparently you're engaging with people who would use your personal life against you and give you the bare minimum if you let them? You mean to tell me you're spending time trying to connect to people who, if you let your guard down, will steal from you, rob you, treat you less than, give you less, care for you less, attend to you less, think about you less? Who is in your consciousness? And why is that okay with you? I'm talking to you. I'm not even talking about the teachers, because I love you. You who now understands that this is a vibrational reality and everything is a response to you and your vibration. And you have to create it in your inner world to see it in your outer world. You. Is that really the best man you can think of? That's the best man you can think of manifesting in your consciousness? Is one that you can slyly manipulate into treating you good? That's the best you can do? Do you believe that you're a soul having a human experience? with a birthright to manifest the world you want and desire? Do you believe in the truth of this multiverse or not? Who am I talking to? And let's just tell the truth. If you trusted yourself to vet for character, you wouldn't be watching all these videos rah-rahing. You would not be rah-rahing on this shit. So, something that I said today, and I want to bring that in right now, because I have seen that there's a group of people on both sides that feel used, and they're right, because whatever you believe, you're right. That's how belief works. You can always find evidence to what you desire to believe to enforce it. You can do that anytime. And the truth is, most people think that they're being observational, but observational is not just something you can choose to be or learn to be. You have to be detached enough from the collective to be able to observe it. You can't actually observe something you're entrenched, embedded, and entangled in. So even being able to achieve observational consciousness, especially on something that's outside of you, meaning it's already a skill set to learn to be able to observe yourself accurately and properly. That is a skill set that takes detaching from particular identities that you have confused with your essence and your I am, including recognizing that you are not your thoughts, you are not your stories, you are not your beliefs, you are not your past. Observational consciousness can live in the place and the truth where it understands that those things are not you. And there's a process to detaching from the collective before you're even capable of accurately observing it as something that isn't necessarily dictated by you. So, men are feeling wounded because they feel like they're only used for the money they make and what they can produce. And if they can't do that, they're unseen and they're invisible. And they're not wanted. Which means that there are also other men who, when they do that, they expect to be accepted and approved of. Because since they're around a world that apparently they're being told by other men that that's all they're good for, then that's also telling them, at minimum subconsciously, that means that if I can produce, then I'll gain social approval and I'll get the things that I want and I'll be accepted. So then you have men who followed that logic, and then when that didn't work out for them, they decided that that was proof that whatever their wounds are, their experiences is now the rule. And now they're projecting that as the rule on social media. And now every woman they see fits that prototype, and then that's how they treat every woman. So they're repelling any women who don't fit that prototype, therefore recreating and reinforcing those limitations and beliefs over and over and over again. Women have been told that their worth is around their bodies. Women have been told that men will be men, but women have to deny their nature. So women have been being trained since they were little to accept men's nature while denying their own nature. And women have been basically, from the time that they were little, been having the responsibility of men's nature and worse shadows put on them. Because since boys will be boys, girls have to operate to compensate for the fact that boys will be boys. That's how women have been raised. So neither are fair, right? Both have their burdens. We could go on and add to it. That's not the point, right? I'm going somewhere. So women from the time that they were very little had been told that it's their job to reject their own nature and compensate for all of the shadows and all of the nature of men. And that men are going to be men and they should know better. And instead of pointing the finger at men, they should just move differently and prepare for the shadows of man. Because if they get taken by the shadow of man, then they have nobody to blame but themselves. Because boys will be boys. But girls better just go ahead and buck up and deny their own nature, because they'll be worthless if they lean into their nature at their core. And no, hypergamy is not women's nature. I'm not getting into that one in this one. Okay, so we have two people who, thanks to the different levels of societal conditioning, they've both been given a short end of the stick with this learning, right? A chip on their shoulder. Because then women are told, well, if you're a good girl and you deny your own nature, you'll be chosen by the right man. So all you have to do is deny your nature, sit pretty, be a good girl, make sure you stay cute, young, and dumb, and the right man will pick you up and take care of you. Make wrong move, you won't be worth it. And women are told you're only as good as your youth and your baby-making abilities. Which means that women are internalizing this fear then that they're going to become useless and used and throwawayable the moment that they have filled their baby-making duties, which is also taught women that they're not actually loved themselves, and that any love that they do have, they can't trust, because the love that's being given to a woman is only on the condition that their beauty can be used for social approval and their uterus can be used to produce a man's baby. After that's done, the woman is no longer useful and she is less valuable. And yes, no matter how you word that you want a woman that's fertile and stuff, you are also then teaching women this subconsciously. Because why? We are always learning. We are never just learning the words that we hear and the words that each other says. Our subconscious learns something different. These beliefs are created as a byproduct. So we have men that think they're only as good as the money and tools that they can produce. And then women who think they're only as good as they look, as good as their youth, and that even any value given towards them is actually not towards them at all. Because it's only as long as they're holding life or can gain approval for the man, for other men, right? Be used for the social approval of other men. So these are some of the wounds. I wish I had a ponytail. I'll ponytail up. Did I say whore? Probably. Not happy with my face right now. It's a mess. Okay. And that's just one of the wounds, right? But as we can see, does one side have it worse, or do we all have wounds? Everything is about self-mastery. Everything is about beliefs. Everything is about the inner world. You can dress up your intelligent blah, 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 garbage bullshit all you want while you point at this celebrity and this, and that shit isn't making the world better. It's not making people smarter. And it's not going deep enough into the work. Thanks, guys. I do not feel pretty right now, so thank you. I appreciate it. I know in reality I probably don't look any different than yesterday where I felt very pretty. And that is what being a girl is. Okay. So both sides can find a group of people who think they're worthless and then point to them as the reason why they don't believe in themselves. They'll say, I don't believe in the opposite sex, but what they're saying is that they don't believe in themselves. So if we know that both sides are speaking from a deep, deep wound and a deep type of societal conditioning that they adopted, that isn't necessarily their fault, but nonetheless, it's an inherited burden. If we know that, then how can we treat each other differently? And how can we learn how to do our work in a way that shifts how we're experiencing other people? Now, something that's been being very, very misused, and you've been hearing me talk about this more and more, is mirror work and the law of attraction. These things are very distorted. Both of these things are multiple laws condensed into something simplified. And simple is good. Mirror work is valuable in its place, in its context, properly applied. Law of attraction is valuable in its place, in its context, properly applied and understood. Where it gets distorted, especially in terms of relationship, is spiritual law isn't about worth. Vibrational match is not about worth. Inner work is not about finding and perceiving and telling the story and interpreting something in you as flawed or bad and then fixing it in order to create desirable outcomes and avoiding unpleasant outcomes and unpleasant characteristics in other people and unpleasant situations that you have perceived as bad, or meaning that you are bad or you are of low character or you are unworthy, which is all stories that you're telling about the mirror work and about the vibrational match and about these things that you're seeing. Do you see how many assumptions you're making about your accurate interpretation and perception at each layer? Which is why I say that right now, because a bunch of random ass people read, I don't know, fucking an Abraham Hicks book and The Secret. You've got a lot of people standing up and teaching law of attraction as a place of worthy or unworthy. And it's turning people into narcissists a little bit. It's making people self-absorbed. Just because you're informing on your reality doesn't mean everything is about you. And you are going to miss out on the deeper connection and mutual medicine. Vibrational match sometimes happen because you have medicine for each other. That's it. But you are looking for the flaw in somebody as soon as you are having an undesirable experience with them. This is what's happening. You're having an undesirable experience. So now you're looking at what's undesirable. Now you're creating an undesirable meaning and an undesirable story about it. And you're pointing at them first. And then you're looking at yourself. And then you're saying, okay, well, I'm also undesirable. So now I'm going to deem this trait inside myself as undesirable and unworthy and shadowy. And I'm going to decide that this must be the match and this must be the thing because it's the worst thing I can find and it's the undesirable experience and it's the unpleasant thing and it doesn't match what it's worth and it's red flags and it's bad and it's this person and I made a mistake and if this is an undesirable experience, it must mean that I haven't done enough soul work and I haven't achieved the highest level of self-mastery, blah, 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 and I'm not going to have my house and I'm not going to have my psychic whatever and I'm not going to master purpose and so it must mean that there's something wrong with that person and as long as I find that thing in me and I fix it, then I can control the outcomes and I can control other people and I can avoid undesirable experiences. That's not how it works. Thank God. That's exhausting. You guys should hire an expert. I feel better with my hair up. Law of attraction is not about worth. It's not about not being good enough. It's not about not being the person that the other person desires yet. It's not about looking for flaws. It's not about fixing something in you in order to control what you experience from other people. You're just people. Sometimes you're not matching with somebody because you are them, but because you have what that person needs. And your soul is a service worker even when you don't want to be. And that person's being of service to your soul even when you don't believe that or see that or know that or accept that or understand that yet. You don't understand that they're serving you yet. Because everything serves you. It is law. And it is law that when you go first, the universe follows. But manifestation and power is not the same as control. Just like intuition, the point of intuition is not to be right and not to know everything. We'll put a button in that one because I want to do a whole live on that. So we all keep saying we want to elevate the conversation. I see you guys say that, but I don't see it happening. Do you? How are you elevating the conversation out of this stuff, out of this mud? Where are you justifying being trendy to get visibility in order to maybe then sort of possibly talk to a higher level, to a higher degree of people? At a different level of consciousness, ready to play a different game. What conversations are you addicted to? So, I will read. What I said earlier today on a post, because it matters. Women give to create life. Men give to protect it. Women sacrifice to create life. Men sacrifice to protect it. Women give to nurture and nourish life. Men give to root and secure it. Welcome to the world. We all have our sacrifice. Find someone you would gladly sacrifice for. Find someone where that sacrifice feels like honorable and worthy service to. Train your God mind and third eye toward the one who is easy to give to and for. Reject and rebuke the idea that you need to learn how to manipulate to protect yourself and move into self-mastery so that you can trust yourself and ditch the rules and exhausting protocols. You are here to create conditions and circumstances. You are here to master energetics that dictate reality and proximity to people and experiences you want to have. You are learning armoring and manipulation tactics that require you to protect yourself from users, but actually the advice is keeping you engaged with low character. Vet for character and attract through truth and spiritual self-mastery instead of manipulating and mind-fucking users. If you know and understand the true nature of this reality, stop entertaining untruths that don't operate in alignment with that. Which means that you need to recognize and learn to recognize what is in alignment with that. If you asked God what was yours to learn and understand today, who would you stop following and what conversations would you stop participating in? Where are the leaders? If trends are leading consciousness, where does that leave consciousness? If trends are dictated by Facebook, and they're not even dictated by the algorithms or the attention that people desire because people aren't even being shown what they desire anymore, then Facebook is your God. And so is trends. And you can't make trends your God and then expect to pioneer anything. So, I like to take a good pause. So in your inner world, please spend some time with the partner of your dreams before you open your mouth. Before you type on your computer, before you listen to that reel, before you listen to that truth bomb and that zinger and that roaster, and please, dear God, turn off that red balloon show. If you could see what I see, if you could see the layers of energy that I see, you'd turn that show off. Now, a lot of you guys out there in the world like talking about it and you don't like being about it. And that's just the truth of most people. But the ones who want to be about it and live like it, and the ones that are willing to suffer through to paradise instead of suffer in mediocrity, and the ones that are willing to be courageous in their hope, their love, their devotion, and their open-heartedness, they'll heed this word. I promise you that if you are willing to go first, and you are willing to stop looking at your current reality as proof of the future, and proof is what is possible, and proof of what you can have, and proof of what is. If you are willing to go first in your inner world and create there, and then move with action towards that, I promise you, your world will change so fast. Beliefs create reality, not what you know. If what we knew created reality, we'd all have private islands and gigolos and dancers and performers and steak and, you know, buggies and boats and jet skis and hot air balloons and, and private casino. Am I just saying shit that I want? What we know doesn't create reality. What we know doesn't even help us change ourselves. What we know isn't even enough to master ourselves. Knowledge is not what creates mastery. Knowing what to do isn't enough to do it. If knowing what to do was enough to do it, you'd already be doing it. It's not enough. We humans literally can't tell ourselves what to do. That has not left my brain. because it's true. Isn't it wild that we humans can't tell ourselves what to do? We have to learn and teach and shift, but we literally can't tell ourselves what to do. Boats and hose, boats and hose. My hair's fun. It's a nice texture. I love my hair. I wish it was growing faster, but I think it's starting to. It's definitely been getting thicker again. Oh, I've been having a journey with my weight this year, y'all. That's why I'm actually annoyed with my face, because my physical therapist has been going inside my mouth, up inside my cheeks, been using tools and needles and stuff in my hair, my skull, under my tongue, up in the roof of my mouth, pulling on every muscle as I move my tongue, gums. It's been a while, and so there's been days where my face is asymmetrical while the fascia and the muscles relax, and I guess there's a nerve here from our fascia on our left side. And when we started really doing the work, I just started having, basically after he manipulates all this stuff, it's like, it's way, way less, but it's like, for a while it was a lot of detail. Let's just say everything that could be pulled out of my body has been pulled out of my body last year. Now it feels amazing. It used to be painful. Now it's like, the last session he does these crazy things to my neck, and I'm like, it's amazing. But either way, we're taking a break from the face so I can gonna get my beautiful skin back, guys. Okay, just wanted to kind of step in, have a little bit of conversation, drop a little hope. And I just want you guys to remember that I'm here to model how I think, how I speak, how I move through the world, how I interpret the world, how I create my world. I am a spiritual self-mastery teacher. I'm not a social media voice for 3D bullshit, okay? And neither are you. You're better than that. Consume what's worthy of you. Consume what's worthy of your time. Consume what's worthy of your attention. Consume what deserves you. Play with that one. Consume what deserves you. Instead of trying to strict discipline, shame, rigid your way through, consume what deserves you. See? All right. Let's go live tomorrow about why your intuition is not about being right. Let's go live tomorrow about that. Tomorrow, I will see you. I think I have a lash appointment at some point in time. I really procrastinated this time around. I think 2 o'clock. Sometime tomorrow afternoon, y'all see me here, and we are going to talk about intuition and not using intuition to make yourself wrong, and the purpose of intuition and why intuition is not about being right. We will talk about that tomorrow. I love you. Yeah, consume what deserves you. Put that one on your mirror. That feels yummy. I also just like it. Thinking of myself as delicious and consumable. So, mwah. Love you, boy.